Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with another track guide for this week's round 3 of the nation's official championship. So we are at Trial Mountain and we are in pre-tuned cars. If you remember, we had a daily race a while back which had the exact same cars and it was at this track, so we should be familiar with this. And it was also a previous World Tour event. Now, the two cars that are probably going to be most commonly used is going to be the BMW and the LFA. I've done the guide in the BMW because I think the BMW is slightly easier to drive. So, last time this was on, I managed to get a 201.5, but that was after a full week of running this race in daily races, and we absolutely smashed it. So, didn't quite manage to get there for the track guide here, but I've managed to get a reasonably solid lap in for you to try and help you get as good time as possible. So if this guide helps you out, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know in the comment section after the race as well if this has managed to help improve your result. So it's always nice to read them comments. So going into turn 1, we're going to be looking out for the yellow barrier on the right hand side for your first braking zone. You can see it appearing there now. That's your braking reference. That's what I use as my reference for this first corner. And you're going to see we're going to pretty much hit the brake just level at the start of that. Now you want to start rotating this in basically where that ghost was then. You can see it. We're going to start rotating in from here using as much of the curb on the outside to rotate in from. So you can see trail braking into the corner so that we're off the brake and back onto the accelerator before we go over the curb. And the left hand tyre can use so much of that yellow curb. You can see pretty much right up to the edge of it. And again into this corner, off the accelerator just before you hit the curb, and then left hand tyre over the curb. You can see using a lot of the track limits. Any more than that though and you can risk getting a penalty. And then back onto the throttle really aggressively here before giving it a very small lift before you're turning it into this corner, just to get that rotation onto the front and transfer the weight. That will give you more ability to get on the accelerator on the exit of this corner here. Now pushing your way up to the tunnel, and you can see our next braking reference is at the end of the yellow barrier on the right hand side, braking just before the end there. That'll enable you to slow the car down and start getting it rotated in from 4th gear to 3rd gear. Let the car rotate, just lift off the throttle, trail braking in, and then be very patient before you put the throttle down there, because too early and you can just run wide. And also you have to be very careful the wheel spin. Early upshift to 4th gear there just to stop the wheel spin generating on the exit, and then looking out for this big rock on the left hand side, making sure you're braking before that rock. Now obviously in more grippier cars you brake on that rock, but in this you're going to brake a little bit short of that rock. And again into this next right hand corner you want to turn in quite early. You can see into 3rd gear just before we get on the throttle, and using the curb on the right hand side enabling you to get on that throttle really aggressively on the exit now, and then into the next braking reference, which we're going to use this curb on the left hand side, and just before the end of the curb we're going to get onto the brakes. It's hard to see there because of the white part of the curb, but we're getting onto the brakes right before the end there. And again you want to be early rather than late there, because you want to try and hug this curb on the right hand side and keep it to the right hand side so that you can get the car back over to the right hand side as you enter the tunnel, because as soon as you're into the entry of the tunnel you're onto the brakes again, and you're going to try and widen the line to swing it in. So back down to 3rd gear and then back up to 4th gear as you're going on the throttle to try and accelerate out of this corner. Be very cautious you don't run into the wall on the outside there. It's very easy to pick up a penalty there if you're too aggressive, but you really need to get on that throttle as early as you can in one motion if you can. If you have to lift off the throttle you tend to lose pace all the way down this long straight. So looking for our next braking reference, you're going to be looking for the signpost on the right hand side. You can see it's a yellow sign on the right hand side just as we're coming into 6th gear. You can see it appear there. Now we're going to use that as our reference and brake very early, so you can see braking before the left turn signal on that signpost, and you want to try and get as close to the wall on the left hand side as you can really, so you can get on the throttle nice and early. So you can see I braked a fraction too late. That means I'm not going to hit the apex and I'm going to have to use 2nd gear to rotate it, then back up to 3rd gear. You can see the ghost pull away there, losing probably 2 to 3 temps just in that one corner because it didn't get it into that apex. And then very hard corner to get right though, very difficult to get that corner perfect. And now you're looking for the next brake reference, which you can see we have a cone on the left and the tree trunk. I tend to use the tree trunk, even though you actually brake on that cone there. You can see the tree trunk's easier to see, and it's just I just brake before the tree trunk, and that's just more how I do that corner. So into this next braking reference, you can see as you're trail braking in, you can see keeping the car in a straight line. You're not really widening the line in. Down to 2nd gear, use some of the curb to help rotate the car, then up to 3rd gear and accelerate out this corner. Just be careful on that throttle, you don't go too early. I had to give it a fraction of a lift there, which has probably lost me a little bit of time. But yeah, try and do that without lifting. Now into the next braking reference. You're going to brake before the car hits the bottom of the dip. You can see there the ghost in front of me in the dip, and then rotating it in. Staying in third gear. You can use second gear for a bit of extra rotation if you're struggling through there, and then back up to third gear. But on this guy, I managed to stay in third gear. Putting the power down, just be careful on the curb on the exit also there. Very easy to put the power down and lose the rear as you accelerate it out of that corner. Now this corner, I use the moss on the wall there as our braking reference. Braking way before with this car. You have to brake quite a bit before so you can slow the car down, because it's really important to get this car slowed down and rotating on this curb on the left hand side. So you can see down to first gear, giving the extra rotation, using a massive amount of curb on the left there, and rotating it back to the left so that you can use that white line on the left to swing the car into this final right hand corner and get it into third gear. So you can see up into third gear, accelerating out the corner. Now just before we go over this curb, you're going to see we're going to come off the throttle ever so slightly just to settle the car down, then back onto the throttle as we go over the curb, and just be careful again on the barrier on the left hand side. And now it's just flat out all the way to the finishing line, and we go over the line through a fairly solid 201.9. Now I'm pretty sure we can go faster, because last time this was on we did a 201.5, and I'm pretty sure I can get around that level anyway once we get rid of the mistakes. But for an early guide, hopefully this will help you out tomorrow, and hopefully it'll give you the result that you need. So let's have a watch of the lap again from the chase camera, and you can really see about using all the track width, all the track limits with this angle as well, all the way over the curb. It's so important to do because it gives you the momentum to carry the speed out of the exit of that first sector. The first sector, there's a lot of time to be gained. Once you start really pushing it, you can find more and more time through there. Again, upshift to fourth gear there just to settle the revs from over spinning, and then down second gear, back up to third gear, again using that curb. I could have used a bit more of that curb there, if possibly a fraction more, and then into this right hand corner. It's all about hugging the right hand side. Don't let the car run too far wide there. You don't want to go over that yellow line too much, and then swinging it back in here as close to them leaves on the left hand side as possible while getting on the throttle. If you get it right, you can really accelerate out of that corner and gain quite a bit of time. Now it's just completely flat out, obviously, all the way on this long straight. Now one thing to be very cautious of is in the race, you're going to be running a stronger slipstream. So this braking zone is going to be very tricky in the race when you're going way faster than you normally would. So make sure you brake early in the race if you're in a slipstream for this corner there. It's a real important factor to remember. Same for turn one as well. You're going to be picking up slipstreams that you're probably not used to from running the time trial, and you're going to have to brake a little bit earlier. Again, into this section, it's all about keeping it smooth and then using that bit of curb on the right hand side as you're rotating it through. Again, you can see I had to give it a little lift off the throttle there, which probably lost me a fraction of time. And now into this left hand corner. Again, you can use second gear for a bit of extra rotation. I stay in third and then keep that throttle down all the way to the final corner. And again, this final corner is so much lap time to be found if you get it right. So again, you need to get that left hand tyre up onto the curb, rotated, and then onto the throttle aggressively and swinging it back into this right hand corner. If you get that right, I didn't quite nail that. If you get it perfect, there's 10 for 2 just to find on that last chicane alone. But a pretty solid lap, 201.9. Hopefully it helps you out. Hopefully you get a good result in this. Let me know in the comment section if this has helped you out. Also, after you've done the race, always great to hear if you've managed to get a good result. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back with more of these videos in the future, and I'll see you soon. Bye everyone.